Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that, and I will stay within my limits. I thank each of the witnesses here and for this hearing, the purpose of which is to make sure that there is no voter suppression, and learn more about that, and also voter fraud. The thing is, we want to maintain voter integrity in this country. And I want to speak specifically to some issues in Georgia that have come up that are misleading and just wrong. And I want to correct the record on some of those things. The fact is that it has never been easier to register or to vote in the state of Georgia. In fact, this last election, all demographic groups had record number turnouts. And that's because of the efforts that have taken place in Georgia to make voter registration and voting easier and more accessible to everyone. This last election, midterm 2018, had 55% of eligible voters in Georgia actually voted. That is record, and it's in every demographic category. That compared to 2016 or 2014 of 38%. And in 2010, it was 40%, and now 55% turnout. That's 17% better than the previous midterm election. And I'm proud that within those statistics that the turnout of minority groups across the board dramatically increased compared to 2014. African American turnout, for example, increased 32.5%. Hispanic and Asian American in the 90 percentile increase. These are drastic increases because the effort not to suppress but to get voters of all demographic groups to participate. And I know that we went to great lengths in Georgia. In fact, in 2016, we started the automated voter registration. And we have, and since 2016, Georgia doing it, many other states have participated as well. But again, it's never been easier in Georgia for people to register. It's never been easier in Georgia for people to actually vote. And yet, we hear examples that have come up where I've heard mentioned that some 53,000 Georgians were not allowed to register. Their applications were placed on hold by the Secretary of State's office. That's just wrong. In the first place, processing of voter registration in the state of Georgia is not even handled by the Secretary of State. It's handled by the local counties. It's on the county level where those voter registrations are taking place. If someone in a county had a problem with their voter registration, they received a letter from their county, not from the Secretary of State. And in that letter from their county, they were told that their status is pending. They were told why it is pending. They were told what needs to be done to correct the problem. And then it may surprise some in this room, they were told in the letter that they could still vote. Yes, they could still vote. They had to show up, and they were also told the location of where to go. But all they had to do, they would get a ballot just like everyone else, but they had to come with a voter ID just like everyone else in the state of Georgia has to show up with, but they could still vote. That's reasonable. Every effort in the world was made to let them know what the problem was, how to correct it, and where to still go vote, and that they were allowed to vote. And the allegations here are just not true. Some other things. Comments were made that county and state officials closed more than 200 polling places. Again, that's very misleading. In the first place, again, state officials cannot close polling locations. That, again, is something that's done on the county level. But secondly, our most populated counties and areas in the state of Georgia added polling locations. And that's been taking place since 2012. And thirdly, there was notable increase of individuals voting early. This is extremely important since 2014, Georgia has seen a 125% increase in early voting. And again, it's counties that handle the polling and so forth, not the state. So there was another allegation that hundreds of voting machines were missing. Well, the truth is that was because a federal judge ordered those hundreds of voting machines held up because of a lawsuit that was taking place by some activists. And the 3 counties involved in that urged the judge to reconsider because it could affect voting. But repeatedly, the plaintiffs' counsels refused to cooperate. So, Madam Chair, I see I've gone over about 30 seconds. I said I wouldn't do that, but I appreciate your indulgence for a moment with that. But I did want to set some of the record straight as it relates to Georgia, and with that, I yield back.